so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. It's rotating.
Welcome to Kill the Stigma. Today we're going to be talking about disclosure. We're going to talk a little bit about the UAP Disclosure Act. For the third time it got written, and it seems that, again, it failed. The frustrating part about this is that we don't really know who's blocking it. We've heard a few names, but according to Congress Burleson, Eric Burleson, there's people blocking these amendments that are invisible. They don't know who they are. They think they're staffers, so it's not even an elected member. It's some staffer somewhere doing this, and completely anonymously, and it's so cowardly and so frustrating.
Just last night, I tried to get an amendment onto the National Defense Authorization Act that fit in the germaneness of that bill to have UAP disclosure. And conveniently, it was named non-germane, mostly deemed by staff, not even an elected official. This is the kind of stuff that we repeatedly see. Last year, we were blocked by someone in House administration from being able to receive a full briefing from Arrow. So not an elected official, but someone in staff blocked us. And I've had it. Enough is enough.
I love that guy. I love Eric Burleson. We need more people like him in the government, man. Honestly, the world would be a better place. All right, let's continue to the other point I wanted to make. The 40 pages of the UAP Disclosure Act that we're trying to get passed. I know Danny Sheehan and, the community wants this legislation to pass, are basically the teeth that was missing on the Schumer amendment about UAPs that passed in 2023, 2024. But that amendment had basically the same things, but it got gutted and got watered down, and they took all the teeth off. And now one of the only things that passed was that they declassify information about UAP to the National Archives, and to there's also something about SAPs and not getting money unless they brief that to the Senate or Congress. I don't know much details about that, but Danny Sheehan was talking about the deadline is September 30th. They have to declassify a bunch of stuff by today, or they break the law. Basically, they're not following the legislation. Let me show you what Danny Sheehan was saying.
Whether the Congress is going to have the backbone to subpoena these people and bring them in. But the fact is, though, even if they subpoena them and bring them in, I'm sure they're going to insist that they're not going to tell them, that they're not going to, the witnesses are not going to answer the questions of the Congress people because they're being prohibited from doing so by their superiors in the executive branch. So this is a serious constitutional potential confrontation. And we'll see here on September 30th, just 4 days from now when we're recording this, that those agencies are clearly compelled by the law that was passed in 2023 of just a portion of the full UAP Disclosure Act. They've been ordered to turn this information over to the archives. And if they refuse to do it, then Congress is going to have to get up on its hind legs and issue subpoenas to drag them in there and try to hold them in contempt of Congress if they refuse to give this information. That's the constitutional confrontation that's brewing as we meet today.
So the National Archives has till today. The problem is that they've already been declassifying information, putting it in there. So Danny's not completely correct, because they have, look, they just put this video of Roswell. It's so interesting. You guys should check that out. I'm not going to show it here, but it's a video, and it doesn't show like a flying saucer or nothing. It just shows like a huge crater, and obviously a balloon didn't do that. And it was in Roswell, 1947, July. But that's it. They just show this crater, like something crashed there. No context at all. And that's the problem with this releasing information through the National Archives. They'll release pictures, they'll release things like this, and it's like, well, what's the story, man? Like, what happened? You just showed me a video of a crater. You said in 1994 that there was no records, no crash records at all when it came to Roswell. I mean, the GAO, General Accounting Office, looked at that, and they said that the records from 1947 and 1949 were missing, okay? So now you're telling me that you do have something, okay? So this is like, what, the 4th time they changed the freaking story on Roswell? Sorry, it's a little bit frustrating. And the thing is, it's almost strategic. These people are releasing information there to like wash their hands off this topic. They, comply with the minimum thing they have to do for the law. And yeah, that's it, I don't think that UAP Disclosure Act is gonna pass, obviously. I don't think the teeth are gonna pass. I think it's not convenient for the government to do that. I don't think they wanna deal with this. I think this is like a pass the ball to the next guy kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to deal with this problem. Nobody. It sucks. And Danny Sheehan's talking about Congress versus the executive branch and all that. Well, I gotta tell you, Danny, like, we got a real problem, because the executive branch is getting way worse, way out of control. I mean, for God's sake, I think I heard Matt Laszlo tell this to Ciclo Activo, to Pabel, the other day, that Donald Trump didn't even ask permission to bomb Iran to Congress. All right, so that's like an act of war. All right, bombing another country. He didn't even ask Congress. And Republicans knew this. They wanted to give more power to the executive branch, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm frustrated. With this whole thing. So how are we going to get disclosure? Because we need it right now. If I'm correct about these freaking drones that are in Europe right now, look, let me make my case, all right? I apologize, because I know it's a double-edged sword, like, that I experienced this, that I've seen this. It sucks for me, because it's almost like you have to believe me, You're telling me you're showing me a super terrible video, bro. It doesn't show me quite anything, and I'm supposed to, I don't care if you believe me or not, but it sucks, because I get being skeptical. But once you've lived it, so like, you're not as skeptical, right? But the problem is that this issue is so important, it's about to cause World War III. Literally World War III. Right now, these things are over Europe. They are everywhere, and everybody's banking on it, trying to blame the Russians. Of course they're doing that. And by the way, this does not help Russia at all. At all. It's not helping them at all. So, like, you want to tell me, you make the case that, these are Russian. Some of them are, of course. Some of them are Poland. I know. Some of them, it's really murky. But the ones targeting airports all over Germany, freaking Amsterdam, Norway, there's a bunch of places. And now I've seen reports of them, of the United States. In Oregon, there was one that was seeing drones fixed, and I predicted that this flap would, the U.S. would see this very soon, but I don't know how our media is going to handle it, because then that would, if somebody's trying to control the narrative behind this, if these things are seeing over the U.S., like, what, you're going to blame Russia, that they came from the oceans, even though they're struggling? I'm sure people will. People just, yeah. Sorry, I get frustrated. But look, here's my point. Putin is not the kind of guy who's just going to, like, accept, that he lost the war. If he's cornered, I do fear that this guy might push the button, and then, yeah, so these things are literally stirring everything up and might cause World War III. And I know look, I know I don't trust Russia. I don't trust anything they say. But in this case, I believe them when they say that they have no evidence that this is not them. Because these, you would be able to track these things. Look, there's an FM radio signal to a drone. You track where it goes. You track who, and there's a Russian, destroyer or whatever, warship right there. Yeah, but they're not seeing the drones going to there. These things have to land. They have to land eventually. And you're telling me with this freaking chaos that is happening right now that they're not using all their resources to find out where these things are going, and they still don't have an answer? Oh, what? Well, like, unless these things go dark and disappear, right? I mean, nobody has seen these things go into that boat. So how? And if it's some crazy technology, then why haven't the Russians used it? They use drone warfare all the time. They get these drones from Iran, super cheap drones for warfare. And you're telling me they're not using this the ones that have the cloaking tech, the ones that have like the, they can take off, disappear, go dark. I mean, that could be pretty valuable at war, don't you think? So this is a problem for me. This is why we need disclosure, because everybody's fucking clueless on what's going on, and we're about to have fucking World War III because of it. And fuck, man.
When the drones fell on Polish territory on that very same day, as soon as the Poles started raising the alarm, we proposed through the defense ministries to hold a meeting and, in a businesslike manner, as professionals should without any hysteria, to sort out the situation. To look at the wreckage, to discuss what kind of drone it was, what its range is. Those drones that were allegedly found on Polish territory, if these are the ones we think they are, their flight range is less, much less, than the distance from the Russian Federation border to the border with Poland. But I'll repeat once again, when people avoid an honest conversation, accuse you of everything, and when you suggest, let's sit down and figure this out, they say, no, we don't want to sort anything out. Turning to the first question, we have nothing to hide. We never attack civilian targets. Incidents, unfortunately, do happen, but we absolutely never deliberately target them. And we never, under any circumstances, direct our drones or missiles at countries specifically located in Europe, among the sovereign members of the European Union or the esteemed NATO countries. Our policy is clear and unwavering on this crucial matter.
Look, I know this guy has no credibility. Trust me. I know, but I believe him in this case. It doesn't make any sense to target your airports all over the freaking world, man. Like, all over Europe. It does not make any sense. Like, that does not help Russia. It does not. And we know, I showed you in a couple episodes ago, that China has been dealing with the same problem. Their airports getting shut down because of these UAV drones. Actually, let me go to drones. I like the fact that we're using the mystery drone. I think that's a good way to analyze this issue, because I know Jeremy Corbell gets mad. He gets mad when they're calling the mystery drones in the 2019 U.S. Navy July. There's the video of the pyramid, blah, blah, blah. He gets mad. But you got to understand, there's a group of people out there that they just can't. They does not take seriously the word UFO. UAP. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not their fault. It's just like you've been programmed. People have been programmed for a long time to take this topic not serious. Now, the kids that grow up, it's going to be different. But, it's not their fault. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I was a skeptic a long time ago, like I was kind of forced into knowing that this stuff is real, but mystery drone allows you to, this doesn't make sense, like, and people are just confused, right? And they might get into this topic, so very important topic, by the way, to get into this topic, right? Because look, we call the February shootdowns of 2023, what do they call that? The Chinese balloon incident. And I remember last year they had a flap, the mystery drone flap, and this journalist was telling John Kirby that it felt a lot like the Chinese balloon incident. And John Kirby was like, oh, you know, we're very transparent about that. Blah, 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 you know. Yeah, about the Chinese balloon you were. But the other three you weren't. Why don't we talk about the fucking other three objects that we... I don't understand. Like, that's a bigger story. You didn't tell us anything about the other three objects except you shot them down. You couldn't find the materials on all three of them. Chinese balloon, no problem, complete transparency. We saw that thing shoot that balloon down. By the way, you should take a look at that video and take a look at that one where the Hellfire Hellfire missile, the drone that fires at a UAP, and look at the differences, because I think it's quite different, actually. That's a tangent, sorry. But, and you guys, nobody knows what I'm talking about. It's the video that got released by the UAP hearing, where a drone fires at a UAP, and the freaking UAP, like, nothing happens, and it takes the debris with it, which is fascinating. But some people want to say it's a balloon. Fine, dude. Like, get a new pair of glasses. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so, where was I going? Yeah. I guess we'll call them drones. Whatever. Baby steps, right? Mystery drones is a good word for it. Because otherwise people, a lot of people, their brain shuts off. People don't understand, like, that this happened. Literally, this happened once. We were like, oh man, we shot. I don't know who the heck was in the executive branch making those decisions. Maybe they didn't even. I wonder sometimes if there's actually people that know, or if they're really clueless in the executive branch making decisions. Because when we shot those objects down, everybody was freaking out. They're paranoid. And then radars went crazy and they just started shooting stuff down. And they're like, oh, yeah. So. And this is what that cost. Let me show you. This is a bigger story than Chinese balloon, to me personally.
The president also instructed the intelligence community to take a broad look at the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects. Indeed, President Biden conducted the first ever daily intelligence briefing session devoted to this phenomenon back in June of 2021. He was briefed that this is not just an issue for the United States, but one for the rest of the world. And as I said, our friends and our partners are dealing with this as well.
National Security Communications Advisor and Assistant to the President. John, good to have you with us. You know, what do you make of the reaction? A lot of people were unhappy with that comment that you made yesterday and felt like you were, telling people that they were nuts or that they didn't know what they were seeing with their own eyes.
No, not at all, Martha. That's the farthest thing that I would ever do. I was simply reiterating what the FBI and what the Department of Homeland Security have relayed to us about what they've been able to corroborate. And we haven't been able to corroborate everything. I said many of the corroborated sightings have turned out to be piloted aircraft. I didn't say all of them, and what I said was those are the ones we were able to corroborate. There's certainly ones that we have not been able to, and we don't know the answer to it. And I strongly recommend that for folks that are seeing these things and documenting them to share that as they can with the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI,
all right, well, let's
the
do
investigators.
That. Let's share it with you right now. Let's put up this photo. This is the close-up one. Here we go. This is in Bernardsville, New Jersey. So, John, are you able to see this photo?
No, ma'am.
You don't have a monitor there?
No, actually, I turned the monitor off. It distracts me, so I didn't see it.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Well, you'll have to take a look at it after, but I can describe it to you. It is large. It has a white bar that goes through the middle. The right-hand side is half lit up white on the top and red on the bottom. The other side is green. So what would that, you're a former military person yourself. You're an admiral. You're the White House National Security Communications Advisor. I'm sure you have seen some of these images. So what is that we're looking at?
It's difficult for me to tell you, Martha. We don't really know. It is possible that some of these things could be commercial drones, developed for commerl purposes. It's possible that they could be owned by private citizens.
But why don't we know, John? That's the point. Why doesn't the United States government no, it seems silly. I mean, it feels a lot like the Chinese spy balloon. It was like, oh, we don't know. It's not a problem. Then we watched it go all the way across the country, and we kept hearing, we're not really sure where it came from until we saw it popped and, floated down over the ocean.
That's not quite how it went. We were pretty honest with the American people that we knew it was Chinese, and we knew that where it was going to go, and we were pretty comfortable given the analysis that there wasn't going to be an intelligence threat by it. And we shot it down once it was over safe waters and wasn't going to hurt anybody. But back to this. Why don't we know? I wish I could tell you exactly why we don't have an answer for you here in the afternoon on the 13th of December, but I can tell you that we are working on it very, very hard to know, because we want to answer those questions the same as those folks in New Jersey want answers to them. And we are working on this very, very hard. We are now applying. There was an interagency conversation this morning about this topic where we have now decided to employ some additional technology to New Jersey and some additional personnel to try to get a better sense of what these things are. And as I said yesterday, Martha, as soon as we know, we're going to.
I hear you. This is shocking. I got to tell you, this is shocking. Okay. And I'm not the only person who feels this way. This was happening at Langley a month ago. Okay. These people are not crazy. They're seeing these things with their own eyes. This is not normal behavior. They are not planes that are coming in one direction and they're heading into Newark Airport and then they're landing. Okay. We spend $824 billion on defense. We have the greatest intelligent capability in the world. So how can you stand there and say to the country right now, gosh darn, we just don't know what these are?
Because I'm not going to lie to you or to the American people, and I'm not going to say we know something when we don't. And we would never, ever stoop to think that an American citizen was crazy or nuts because of what they're seeing and what they're documenting. We're taking that imagery seriously, and we're doing the best we can to analyze it, and we encourage people to come forward if they have additional sightings and imagery. We want to do the best we can to triangulate it, but I'll be gosh darn if I'm going to stand up here and make up stuff that I don't know to be true.
We don't want you to make up anything. Do you know and you can't say? Can you tell me that?
No, I'm telling you, Martha, I'm telling you we don't.
You don't know.
We can't corroborate every single sighting. Some of them we have, not all of them, and we're working hard to do that. We know people are afraid of it. We know people have concerns. We have those same concerns.
Yeah, because they're flying over your house, and it sounds like there are motorcycles landing on your roof. Let me ask you this.
So that journalist was not having it. She did great. But if she could have come at it from the UAP secrecy angle, I think she would have done way better. And that's where the only mistake that I saw was when she talked about, oh, this reminds me of the Chinese balloon, whatever. No, the Chinese balloon wasn't the problem. The problem is not prosaic objects. When there's weird and secrecy around, when there's weirdness and secrecy around it, is when we're dealing with other stuff, right? Like the 3 other mysterious objects that we haven't seen anything except Canada that freaking declassified a picture, and it looked like a freaking UFO. Thank you, Canada, by the way. The United States has not been able to be as transparent. But if she would have come at it from that angle, okay, that would have been amazing. And this guy said, she talks about, you're making people think they're crazy, blah, blah, blah. That's their role. That's what they do. That's what they've done since the 50s. And tinfoil hat, and then there's a small population of the world that suffers collateral damage because of that, and I don't like that. I don't like that. It sucks. It's sad. But she also says, do you know when you can't tell me? And he got weird. I don't know. I don't believe anything that guy said. But I do know what he said that one time that I showed him a little bit ago when he said UAP are real. I feel like that was almost like a test of disclosure. I swear to God, but I don't have any evidence. It's just what I think. Because I do know that UAP are real, and I do know that our friends and allies and enemies are dealing with it. It's a worldwide phenomenon. That shit's real. So that's how I do it. I'm like, does my research validate this? Yes, it does. All right, it does. But yeah, we gotta figure out what these things are, because these flaps are getting worse. They're getting more intense, and they're causing more problems. And here's what's going to happen. This flap, it's just starting. It's probably going to spread to the U.S. It's going to be interesting how the media handles it. It might not. I'm not a freaking, I don't know. I've just been obsessed with these mystery drones. So I know, I've been studying the behavior and these waves. Then it's going to go away and we're going to forget all about it. And then it'll come back. And who knows what it'll do that time, if it'll get worse and do something more. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's kind of creepy. The new behavior of these, whatever the hell they are. But it seems like it's very important, and it seems like it's not going away. So, anyways, last thing I'll show you. Let me show you what the people are saying in Europe, the leaders.
The military posture of Europe is being boosted right now, likely in operation. And I think that's really significant. The military posture of Europe is being boosted right now because of the mystery drones. If this is anomalous activity, the phenomenon isn't doing us any favors right now. It is really making things kind of tense and dicey out there. Danish elected members of parliament are being left in the dark about the mystery drone incursions. They don't seem to have the security clearance to be told very much, and the stuff they're being told is still classified.
So he says no. He doesn't want to reply to that question even. But she's saying that she's being asked, what do you know? She says it's classified, and she says the situation is very serious. Yeah, and he says they're not getting any replies as to what they really want to know as politicians. So they don't seem to have the security clearance to be told very much, and the stuff they're being told is still classified.
Being classified. So stuff about the mystery drones is classified even to European leaders.
So let me just get this straight. They're classifying information they're not even telling these people. All right, so like, look, think about this. One of them said it's classified, it's something very important is going on. When it comes to war matters like Russia, Ukraine, whatever, Israel, Gaza, we get information. They talk about that. They love giving that stuff to the public. But now with this, what it is, the only thing that is more classified, the most classified issue, and this is a fact, thank God, this used to be conspiracy years ago. This used to be conspiracy. You believe in UFOs? No, that's a fact that this is the most classified topic in the whole freaking planet is this topic. That is a fact now, okay? And I have it in the freaking intro of my show where it says, exempt from disclosure in its entirety. And that is a legit, it's legit, like an FOIA document that when it comes to UAP matters, exempt from disclosure in its entirety. They would, national security. What is going on? Think about that. Oh yeah, and for the people that, think this is BS, there you go. Wow, peace.
The so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. It's rotating.